record. All right. Thank you, Jeffrey. Begin again, and you might even tell us why you were reading this book.
All right. Let's see. Well, what I posted was that I've started reading poetry every morning before I do anything else as a practice. And recently I bought some books of the poetry of Hermann Hesse. And Hermann Hesse was somebody that I had read all of his novels when I was a young person and was really moved and influenced by them for really the rest of my life. But I had never read any of his poetry. And I came upon one of his poems, and it prompted me to purchase a bunch of his books of poetry in translation, because he's German. And I highly recommend searching out some of his books. But I found a quotation in one of his books that I will now read to you. This is a prose piece about poetry. He said, "When you look at a flower or smell it, you do not immediately tear it apart, analyze it, and place it under a microscope in order to find out why it has to look like that and smell like that. You rather let the flower speak to you and take it in with its colors and shapes, its fragrance, its whole being and its stillness and mysterious presence. You are enriched by this experience with the flower to the degree you are capable of serene adoration. You could cultivate the same attitude of serene adoration toward the books of poets as you do with flowers." So that was what I shared on Facebook.
And yeah, that's really beautifully stated, and I think it caused a little bit of a stir among those of us who read it, and I'll never forget it now. Thank you for bringing that to mind, Jeffrey.
Thank you. Yes, serene adoration. That sounds. There are some poetry books that might not lead to that corner of the room. And talking about serenity, that's one of the things I've been writing. I write some Christmas holiday cards to people, and one of the things I've been wishing for them is a bounty of serenity in troubled times. And I still feel like we're in very troubled times, not only sometimes personally. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in terms of health issues around me, and also nationally. There's just all of these things that are still brewing in the back burner. We still got the January 6th investigation. We still have the looming new presidential election. So I think we're still in pretty unsettled times, but I agree that finding something that one can focus on and I don't know if meditate is the right word, but reflect on a daily basis is a good thing. And for me, any aspect of nature, whatever it may be just a leaf or the sky or a particular cloud or a rock, all of those things are helpful to me in bringing me down to the elemental nature of things. really. We're a world built up by creatures of all kinds in their inventions. And yet we all actually, at the very basic point, are just atoms. And all of our atoms, whether we're rocks or trees or humans or flowers, they're all the same. So reflecting on nature doesn't have to be for a very long time, always brings me to a serene place. My poems today are not, I never know, Tammy, what your topic of the evening is. So I don't know that I could write poems just for that topic. So my poems are not about serenity, although some of them are about nature or the natural world. So in any case, I'm looking forward to see what all we come up with.
I always do too. It's just like, you know, I guess spitting in the wind and see where the wind takes it. Because I don't ever come at this like didactic, you know, like a teacher, professor. It's just, you know, here's a theme, here's a phrase, and if you resonate with it in any way, if there's a word in that phrase of the theme that is something you've included in one of your poems, you know, you make the connection. You don't have to justify that connection to us, but it does kind of spur us to maybe look at different work in our catalog of works, so we get a chance to breathe air into something we haven't shared before. I'd like to read a couple, if that's cool with you guys, you folks. And let me just preface by saying, in 2007, I decided that I wanted to try to write a poem a day. In order to understand, maybe try to come to an understanding of what the processes were in my body, in my mind, in my emotional being, about what starts revving up in order to create a poem a day. And I wanted to see if I could kind of attune those mechanisms so that they could fire faster and on demand. I just wanted to try that. And it was interesting. I got really tired of it by August because I felt like I was just doing the task. It didn't feel as fresh to me. And then what happened after that, the next feeling was, oh, let me just write about something that happened to me in the past that means a lot to me, and I'll do it in poetic form. So that's how I finished out the year. But in the beginning, it was really exciting. Like I just couldn't stop, and it came easily. All right, this one is towards the end of the year, December 18th. Poem number 352 of 365. The lessons have found me unprepared as a student without a manual, and I am skidding as best I know, learning how to maneuver mayhem. I have lost so many kin and have attended more funerals than weddings, yet the way and means to handle the pain is something that befuddles, eludes me still. So when I walked over to the new book section at my workplace tonight, it took me by surprise when I laid my eyes on a relevant new book. Grieving for Dummies, the title read, and I thought to myself at first, how insulting. I would not care to share this with a mourning family member as if I thought her dumb. But I thumbed through the pages and found advice that could help us, one and all, and felt less a dummy than a smarty, though sad as sad can be. And a parenthetical. Grieving for Dummies was written by a guy with a PhD in bereavement counseling, so it ain't no joke. Poem 351 of 365. That cookie tasted awful, like refrigerator. But then I smell like carport and my cat smells like coal mine. Then to the parked car, neglected and undisinfected. I sniff and tell. The back seat of oranges and brake fluid and the floorboard of moldy vanilla. I have a sharp nose. Its sense of smell propels me to the kitchen to see what now I've burned. Blackened skillets, streams of smoke. I hold them out the window, see the vapor get took, and the backyard takes one great whiff. You bet I can cook. You bet I can burn when I feel it in all of my senses. Well done.
Very nice, both. I'm amazed that you can come up with such a detailed and rather long. I mean, it's not 3 lines of, rather meaty poems. That's pretty good.
Thank you. I enjoyed that exercise, and maybe I'll try it again sometime this decade. There's a short form filmmaker who has recently passed away in the last 5 to 7 years, Jonas Mekas, Eastern European immigrant who lived in New York and helped propel a lot of the New America pop cinema movement. Around that same time, 2006 maybe, he was trying to create a video a day. And those are archived somewhere. I've only seen 1 or 2. And then there was another person that was trying to do a 1 a day thing. And I don't remember. I think it was Susan Laurie Parks that was trying to write a play, theater script a day. She ended up winning the Pulitzer Prize, first Black American playwright to win the Pulitzer. But yeah, she did a series called, it was called 365 Days, 365 Plays, and they're all very short, like half a page long. And I found out about those efforts after I'd started mine, but I felt like there was something going on that we all, several of us felt compelled to be. I mean, it's not trying to be prolific, it's just doing a test or taking on a challenge, of self-imposed challenge.
Well, so close to the end of this year, I detect a challenge for the coming year.
What is that to you?
A poem a day for a year.
A poem a year? What?
A poem a day for a year.
For a year.
Challenge indeed.
Challenge indeed. The world is big enough for all of our works, whether they're publishable or just shareable among friends. Who else would like to read? And welcome, Jessica Hernandez. I don't think you've been with us before, but I hope you're liking what you've heard so far, enjoying our rhythm and vibe.
Hello.
Oh.
Yes. I'm just settling down. I got home and I've been listening to you, and I think I follow you or we're friends on Facebook, and I had been meaning to join one of the sessions, so I'm glad I got to tonight.
Welcome, welcome. Now, some of us are conversing here in a way that suggests we're like good buddies, and that's because some of us have attended every month for a year or more. So some of us are pretty regular here, and there's an interesting bonding that's happened despite the fact that we're virtual. So welcome to what we're co-creating. Every energy
Yes,
is
thank you.
welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Who would like to read next?
I have something, Tammy.
Hi, Rita. How are you, Rita?
I'm hanging in there.
Hanging in there?
Yeah.
You feel you need some a pickup or you need some help and vibes from family here? Just
I'm
ask.
okay today.
ask.
I'm not today, but it's been a tough week for me. So I have a poem I'd like to share, and of course, I guess it doesn't really spark serenity, but it made me think of serenity because of the lack of serenity that it it speaks about. So I want to share my poem, and let me just pull it up really quickly. And I could share a couple others, you know, as well, but I don't want to take up a whole bunch of time if some other people want to share. This one's called Overthrown, and that could be a tentative title, but that's all I could think of. So Overthrown is a title. A cloud of doom looms. My body falls heavy under its weight. The beats of my heart make me shake. Pain sears through. She takes control of my senses. When she comes, my world caves in. I lose all concentration. She has all my attention. The pit of my stomach is ablaze. She's got her grip on tight, making me lose all sight. I just want to push her away and return to who I am every day when she is not at play. Breathe in, I say. Exhale her away. She won't let go despite what I say, robbing me of sleep, leaving me to weep until the waves she gave calm down. And only then can I return to the ground, finally unwound.
Do you care to, I'm curious about the she. Is she maybe a shadow side?
The
Or is-
she is anxiety. I personified her. Yeah.
I had a feeling. So it would, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And be sure and reach out to folks, don't be alone. You live here in the same part of Texas, feel free to reach out. I got a lot of time as of next Thursday for sure, and I can squeeze in time for a coffee or meet up for sure.
Oh, I see that.
And I'm
Really?
hosting an in-person event tomorrow night, so come hang out.
I saw that. Yeah, I'll have to think about that because I have some work I need to get done before the end of the year.
Sylvia and Jesse, it's not too late to book your flight to Dallas. Come hang out with us tomorrow.
Oh, my.
We'll be right there.
We'll be there
Okay.
we'll be there in spirit. And as you can see, our temperamental computer picture came up. We don't know how long it will last, but here we are in person.
Yeah, I mean, what, it was well worth the wait. Y'all look great.
Thank you.
Rita, if you feel like holding on to the other poems for a little bit later, we've definitely got time for you to share more, unless you prefer to drop another one for us, ahorita.
I'm willing to wait and let somebody else have a chance.
Okay, thank you.
I'll do something.
Great. Thank you,
Okay, so-
Jesse. Well, you want to
so-
introduce yourself for folks who haven't met you before, please?
My name is Jesse Ehrenberg, and I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and happy to be here. So since we're doing peaceful, meditative sort of poems, I have a series called The Existential Cat. And they're little 3-line poems, so I'll read a few of those. The existential cat sits staring at things only a cat can see. The existential cat eats, and when it's done, walks away. The existential cat celebrates winter solstice, sleeping in the sun. The existential cat rolls in the dirt and chases its tail. There you go. Those are some.
As a cat person, I appreciate all of those. You can see my,
Ah, yeah, hello.
Yeah.
She seems to be spilling out of her cat bed. Is that a visual, is it optical illusion, or is she really big? Or he?
he is getting bigger all the time. A friend of mine used to say that he thought that cats were always tripping on hallucinogens. And that explains a lot if you think about it.
I have one who she's over there grooming another cat. Baby Sweets is a junkie, and I've told that to her face. She's an outright junkie. When I throw a little bit of catnip on the floor, oh, she slides on into the pile, doesn't share, rubs it all over herself, is just in this orgasmic state. But also, when I've put tea tree oil on my face, I can't lie down because she just wants to devour my face. Like, she just kind of starts swooning and just going, oh, all over me. It's kind of embarrassing. So she's really into scents and aromas. So I called her my junkie cat. She's a trip. Sylvia, were you going to offer something?
Yes, I have actually a couple of prose poems, but I'll do first a short poem. It's called Hierarchy, and I wrote it for my friend Rene Ornelas. From our perch inside the house, we watch sparrows, finches, the odd blue jay storm the locust tree. Thin leaves
Sylvia,
and
I'm sorry. So sorry to do this. Do you want me to stop recording?
please.
Ah, okay. I
Thank
had to
you.
stop you then.
Ah,
I had to stop
yes.
you. Sorry.
No worries. And I really
Just to explain, we halted recording because a poet requested that we not record her reading. But I'm going to allude to you, Poeta Sylvia, right as you said that line, twilight slides into night once more, your image disappeared. It was very, very timely. I mean, it synchronized. When you said that line, you started to, what is the word? Fracture?
disintegrate. I disintegrated
Yeah,
on
yeah, it was these colored stripes. It was like seeing a beautiful sunset, and then the screen changed, and now it went to black for a little while, and now it's white.
Yeah, weird.
Thank you for sharing those.
You're welcome.
Jessica Hernandez, would you care to share some work as a first-time reader with us?
Not yet. Not yet. I haven't written anything in a while. I think the last time was August. And I just tend to journal about my day, or my thoughts and feelings. That's mostly what I write about. I can look through something. Give me a few minutes maybe, and
Oh yeah, we can circle back, or the way we just jump in and go, hey, I want to do this. I'm feeling this right now. So yeah, I mean, we're all adults here. So yeah, if you find something in your journals that resonates, or you feel like you gotta share it, yeah, we're here for that. And we have 2 hours, so we got plenty of time. So I'm going to share one that's kind of I'm really amused because I wrote these in 2007 when I was trying to write one a day, and I don't go back and look at them very often, and when I do, I'm kind of tickled about what came out. And tomorrow at the in-person event, I'm probably going to be opening up a brand new bottle of Bombay Sapphire Gin, and I referred to that very type of alcohol in this poem. So I want to read this for you. It's brief. Poem 349 of 365. The $6 Bombay Sapphire Gin and Tonic stirred my muse 6 times with a fine point red ink Sharpie. For those of you who are readers, not writers, that is the equivalent of 6 orgasms on a hard wooden chair, in an Irish pub, in public, precisely well written.
Well done.
No, not everybody understands the ecstatic moment when a poet's finished writing a bunch of things and they're just in a reverie. Yeah.
I look forward to experiencing it tomorrow.
Bring your red ink Sharpie with you. And that's not a euphemism, not a euphemism. Let's see. Lorraine, what are you feeling tonight? What's your vibe? You want to share something?
Sure.
Oh,
Kind
and
of fits in with,
I'm sorry, just for the new folks with us tonight, would you mind reintroducing yourself and letting them know approximately where you are located geographically, please?
I'm Lorraine Caputo. I'm the Latin America wanderer, so someplace on the road we might bump into each other. A lot of my poetry has to do with the people and places I meet, a way to build bridges between our pueblos. And this poem fits the season and fits the themes of tonight, I think. It's called Sounds of Silence. These Christmas Eve streets echo with the mournful song of a blind man's accordion. These Christmas Eve streets, beneath the dim light of a waning crescent moon, yet to be arisen. These Christmas Eve streets, echoing with the footfall of families going to Mass, announced by silent bells. The cry of a newborn babe in a manger in a parish church bathed in the perfume of Palo Santo. The silence of footfalls upon centuries-old wooden floors. The silence of prayers before the creche broken by a baby's cry. These Christmas Eve streets echoing with the silence of the departed blind accordion.
Yeah, I felt like I was on a tour. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've heard that, well, at least in Chile, I'm not saying that's where you are, that they're experiencing record breaking temperatures, like it's really, really hot.
In Chile and in Argentina also.
And where you are, is it summer right now?
No, it's officially the rainy season, which means it's winter.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, when you're in the tropical zone, it's you don't have winter and summer per se. you have the rainy season and the dry season. But we're in the third year of La Nina. Before La Nina, well, up until about 15, 20 years ago, they didn't even know La Nina existed. And La Nina usually follows shortly after El Nino. And before El Nino used to happen every 30 to 50 years. But now it's happening every like 5 to 8 years. And La Nina, like I said, this is the third year in a row we have La Nina, which means there's a lot more rain. And we didn't really even have a summer per se, or a dry season. It's just raining and raining.
Oh, thanks for sharing about that. When you read your poem, I started remembering about my trip to I was in Chiapas in December, and there were bells that rang one morning, and I got up early to find out what was going on, and everybody was walking in the same direction, and they were heading up a little mountain side church to a church. And it was indigenous people from the outlying villages like Chamula and I can't remember the other villages nearby. So they were Mexican Indians, as well as the more, you know, what do you call? I don't know what's called.
Mestizos?
Mestizos, thank you. I was going to say colonized. Same thing. Maybe, but they were all mixing in this church service there. I mean, everybody, it was very inclusive. And the thing that sparked my, because I have a very sensitive nose, as one of my earlier poems indicated, I love the smell of pine needles. They had spread pine needles all over the floors, so it smelled like Christmas tree inside the church. It was beautiful. I'll never forget that.
That reminds me of one time in the highlands of Guatemala, in the Ishil Triangle, Shahul. In Shahul, every Friday during Lent, they have people arrive for the Christ of Golgotha, and people arrive walking, many of them barefoot. And I had heard about this, and so I went, and they opened up the patio at the side of the church so that the pilgrims can stay and sleep. And it's really cool because everybody has fires going and making handmade tortillas and brewing coffee and whatnot and sharing all around. And so what's interesting is you have barefoot indigenous. You have the Ladinos, which are indigenous peoples, but have left aside the traditional ways. And you had rich people showing up too, and just looking at their feet, and you could see what social class they came from.
Side by side.
Side by side, going through the church. And the church is full of candlelight and chamomile, and smelling the burning chamomile.
Mm.
And it's just one mass after another after another. I went to 7 masses that day, just sitting there observing what was going on. And it was fascinating just to see how, and this was during the war years in Guatemala. And this was in one of the worst hit areas. And still people were going on this pilgrimage. And like I said, many of them walking. And many of the indigenous people were doing it barefoot because, they don't have the money to buy shoes. And it was just incredible to watch this, to witness this.
Did they have homes to go back to?
Many of them, yeah,
Well, that's good. That's good.
or refugee camps, some of them. Like in Nevaj, which is the principal city in the Ishud Triangle, there were a lot of refugee settlements out in this town or just outside the town. And there were also what do they call them? Resettlement villages, but they had a name for them. Like near there is a Kul, which is a village that the government set up. So that with perfectly, the government would go in and destroy the traditional villages and set up these model villages. That's what they call them. Model villages with grid streets and everything so that they could monitor everything more
They
easily.
could police them more efficiently if they're on a grid.
Yeah, exactly.
That reminds, I had a dream about the grid and that kind of thing, that sequestration of peoples. Thank you so much for sharing. It's always a great lesson when you read your work, because Lorraine, you always have this great detail from your lived traveling experiences, and that I find that very valuable to this reading series. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy, for providing this space.
And Lorraine and I knew each other. We met in Austin, Texas years ago, back in the day. Haha. Good times. Jeffrey, do you have something to share this month besides what you read already?
I do, actually, and it's based on my readings from before. I don't know. When I was younger, the works of Hermann Hesse were very important to me, and one was the glass bead game.
Yes.
I don't know if others have read that, but anyway, this is
I've heard of it, but I haven't read that. I read Steppenwolf and maybe something else. I can't remember now.
so this poem is the glass bead game. The game is simple, after all. You take a thought from over here and you build a beautiful arch of logic, connecting the first thought to a totally different one over there. You start, let us say, with the neuroscience that explains how we can improvise a movement of dance in response to the improvised music of a jazz musician. You explain how the mirror neurons of the observers fire in their minds, and that their emotions respond to the movement and the music as if they were performing it all themselves. It is a form of resonance, a vibration set off in the observer, which cannot be controlled, because if you reach out your hand to control the tuning fork, you kill the vibration. And we live for the vibration. It is like the question of quantum physics. It remains a wave that is everywhere and every time, unless the observer reaches out to observe it more clearly and more closely and causes it to stop and fall into a particle of matter, dead. So you stay in the flow of the wave, of the music, of the movement, of the emotion, entangled all together. And that is beautiful. All of your senses are alive with it, and you must just yield, submit to it. But aren't you just making it all up? Is this really truth? Perhaps it wasn't truth before, but maybe it is truth now.
Thank you. Hesse would be very flattered by your attentive study of his work, I would imagine. And what is this word? Das Glasperlenspiel?
Das Glasperlenspiel. That's the name of the glass bead game in German.
Ah, okay.
I have a near complete collection of Hermann Hesse's work. And when I took a German course on one of my German courses, we had to do a presentation on somebody. And so I turned them on to Hermann Hesse's works from between the wars, the short stories that he wrote. And there's one that's called If the War Goes On Another 10 Years. They're really strong anti-war works. And so it was my way of introducing people to another side of Hermann Hesse that isn't just Steppenwolf or Damien or any of that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Lorraine. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Have you
I-
read that series?
Yeah, I've read basically everything of his now. I highly recommend there's a book in English translation called Trees
Mm-hmm.
of his work. That's both a combination of prose and poetry. That's amazing. And I highly recommend it to everybody here.
There's one that I picked up in a hostel book exchange. I picked it up in German, so I don't know if it's available in English or not, but it's called Glück, which means luck. And it is his correspondence with readers, which was really interesting to read.
Yeah, I can't recommend Hermann Hesse more than in everything that he wrote. I mean, I read all of his novels when I was young, but he considered himself more a lyric poet.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of looked at amusement at the fact that everybody loved his novels, but didn't read his poetry. So I
No, one of,
recommend you go on, look at his poetry.
one of my favorite poems by him is called Böse Zeit, Evil Time.
The way I've
Nun
come to
sind wir
see,
still. ¿Cómo?
please go ahead, Lorraine. Sorry, I'll wait.
In German it goes, nun sind wir still und singen keiner Lieder mehr. Der Schritt wird schwer, das ist die Nacht, die kommen will. Gib mir die Hand, vielleicht ist unser Weg noch weit. Es schneit, harte Winter im fremden Land. Wo ist die Zeit, da uns ein Licht, ein Erd gebrannt? Gib mir die Hand, vielleicht ist unser Weg noch weit. And the English translation is evil time. Now we are silent and sing no songs anymore. Our steps grow weary. This is the night that was bound to come. Give me your hand. Perhaps we still have a long ways to go. It's snowing. Winter is hard in a foreign land. Where's the time when a hearth, a light burned brightly for us? Give me your hand. Perhaps we still have a long ways to go.
Thank you. Wow, I didn't know you were so adept at speaking, reading German, Lorraine. I just love when poets reveal all their other abilities and skills. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Lorraine.
What I was going to say earlier is my guess about why Hermann Hesse's novels or novellas are better known in this country is because maybe educators want to teach things, you know, when it comes to literary teaching of classic literature from other countries, other people in other countries, is they want to teach work that is considered accessible or that made it to tops of the charts in terms of book sales and good ratings, and New York Times, you know, critics lauding their books. And, you know, and then we don't see the obscure stuff. So that's been happening as I've gotten older and just started seeking on my own, irrespective of what teachers have taught, is finding, wow, there's so much more to, let's say, Kafka than A, B, or C. And there's so much more to this author than A, B, or C. And I don't want to leave it to kind of mainstream educators to tell me what I need to spend my time reading by a specific author. I want to decide on my own because I have different kinds of tastes, you know, and I'm a big girl. I can decide what I can handle or not. I'm also just gonna, maybe this is a big leap, maybe this is a good segue. There is a cinematic adaptation coming out this week of a novel called, is it White Light, by a very prolific and mysterious writer. What's his name? I'm blanking out on his name. And I know Adam Driver plays the lead in the movie. Is it White Light or White Heat? And I'm not referring to Velvet Underground. Of course, I have to search by going to Adam Driver's information. Is this ringing a bell for anybody? White, is it White Snow? White Noise. And it's based on a novel by Don DeLillo. That's who I'm getting at. So Don DeLillo is one of those people that intrigues me, even as I haven't read much by him. Any takes on that?
I think that's a book that we started to read and really couldn't get into very much. Just I felt so very alienated from the characters. So I didn't really go very much into that book.
Oh, it's considered postmodern. It won the National Book Award for Fiction in 1985, which, you know, that doesn't mean it's accessible or gonna be, you know, appealing to those of us here in this space. Yeah, I'm kind of curious about it based on what I saw about the film coming out. And it's certainly gonna drive attention to Don DeLillo's writing. So that'll be interesting to watch. Were you teaching that, or Sylvia, or were you in a class that was where that was
No.
assigned?
We have a group of friends that, you know, would get together online and periodically read a book and talk about it. And they sent out that book topic, and I think we borrowed it from the library. And for some reason, couldn't get very far into it. It felt I particularly felt very alienated from the characters, which seemed to me to be, you know, privileged white masses, as it were. And I don't know, maybe it was the juxtaposition of the, you know, the kind of times of the pandemic and this kind of life going on out here in a book, but really it's not really in the book. It is in the book, but also reflects the wider world. And I just couldn't get into that. But so honestly, I know very little about it other than my initial reaction to the book.
Yeah, I thought it was so bad. I just dropped out of the reading thing because I just really didn't like the book at all. Didn't think it was well written, and yeah, so.
I just
I
saw
know.
a headline for a review of the film adaptation. It said it's a tiresome film filled with tiresome characters.
There you are.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh, well, I'm vindicated.
Oh yeah, I mean, each of us are entitled to walk out of whatever we want to walk out of, and you know, it's, you know, we all have varying tastes, and I love that. I love that I know people who like different kinds of things.
Great album by the White Light, White Heat.
Oh,
Great.
Velvet Underground.
Yeah, great album.
Yeah, yeah. No, we're not splitting hairs on that one. Great. So we're gonna circle back. Well, it's 9:09. Do folks want to get up and move around a little bit for maybe 5 minutes?
9:09? Is it not?
Maybe 5 minutes, and I'm gonna try to message Richard because he may have forgotten to join us, and I'll message him real quick, and then we'll come back. Just 5 minutes. Cool. And I'll put on some music in the meantime. Fiesta. And oh my gosh, I walked in because I had to buy tonic water for the Bombay gin and tonics I'm making tomorrow. And they were playing this song, A Message for You, Rudy, by the Specials, which is it's an obscure song. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like ska music from England at the fiesta. And I was dancing. I was like, this is something special. And after that song played, they played I Can See Clearly Now. And I thought those two songs back to back when I was at the fiesta tonight, December 17th, this is a very good sign for me or for us for the future. I just felt there's something popping, some energy. I'm feeling really relieved that the ex-cop Aaron Dean, this is national news, y'all, ex-cop here in Fort Worth, Texas, Aaron Dean was convicted of manslaughter, murdering a young in her late 20s, Tatiana Jefferson, a mere it's like a 7-minute bike ride east from where I reside right now. I've been to outside of her house multiple times now for events, supportive advocacy, organizer events and celebrations. There was a prayer service on the day before the trial started, which I thought was very appropriate and just a beautiful idea on the part of the organizers. So they brought in 5 Black Christian ministers who spoke very eloquently and encouraging folks to, kind of arreglar, like put yourself together, organize your feelings and thoughts and tone, because we don't want to be out of control if we're going to do court watch. We don't want to, create any stir that's going to impact the outcome of the trial. So Thursday, the conviction was handed down. It's a disappointment at some level, but of course, being where I am in this part of Texas, it's a goddess send that conviction was handed down. And the sentencing phase has been, my niece is watching the live stream and giving me the play-by-play. The sentencing phase is nothing short of a telenovela. It's just been cray with some things that have happened. Oh my gosh. So it's looking pretty good that he might get a heavy sentence versus a light sentence, and we'll find out on Monday. So for those of us who are praying people or demanding people, demand that your God, goddess, or universal creator of your choice will put this right. Yeah, justice for Tatiana Jefferson. Richard Loringer's here, thanks to a little nudge I gave. I have my own smartphone. Oh my gosh, now the earth has shifted on its axis even more because Tammy Gomez now owns a smartphone. I resisted for a long time.
My phone is smarter than I am. And it forgot to tell me that it was Recordando night. And thank you you guys have been on for like over an hour. I just didn't know what year it was,
And you helped name, create the themes.
I know it was on my mind this afternoon, but
you gotta be here. How could we not? So right when we had the break started, I thought, I gotta message you right away. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I spaced out. I was dealing with family this afternoon. I was researching stuff online, that was fun. The family stuff was not. Then I had a sandwich, and then I forgot about everything.
Well, you're here now, and you can forget about us later afterwards, but don't forget about us now. Hey, would you like to read soon? Maybe not right away, but soon.
Oh, when I popped out the word quietude, it's sort of because I have a poem called that, but yeah, I have to find it.
All right. In the meantime, we've got some other folks I want to ask if you'd like to read again or for the first time. We've got Jessica Hernandez in Houston, Sylvia and Jesse in Albuquerque, Jeffrey, of course, here in Fort Worth, Rita
Hi,
también, Rita Vigilo, you're still with us, and Lorraine, who is from everywhere in all languages, I think. Who wants to offer another? I think, Rita, you said you had a couple more. Do you want to read now?
Sure. I was actually looking earlier for some, since you were talking more about serenity. So mine, of course, are more like nature in tune. So I have a couple of those I can read. This one does not have a title. She wanted to sit in the sand, roam the hills, trek the mountains, get lost on the trails, anywhere but here. She needed to feel the crisp grass beneath her feet, smell the forest air, take in the sunset and hear the sounds of nature ring in her ears. It is there she finds love, the love to exist, to thrive, and take a step forward in time, to find new adventures, to create memories. So I find that one of my best works, but that's what I was trying to
It's introspective for sure. And I love the barefooted part made me think of the barefooted folks that Lorraine was referring to, where you could tell their class rank or status based on looking at their feet. Rita, I don't know what's happening with maybe the microphone or your proximity to it, but there was a little bit of breaking up of your word. I could hear it, but it was with some effort that I understood it. So just saying, I don't know what could change. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, I have an earpiece in, so I don't know if that's the difference. Does it sound better?
Say some more words.
I said, can you hear me better?
A little bit better, I think. I mean, you just gave me a little sample to judge, but maybe, I don't know, maybe a little slower because the words were, I don't know. Did anybody else have that issue?
A little bit. Rita, do you have other browsers open on your computer or whatever you're using?
I do.
Sometimes that interferes with how clear the Zoom stream is.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
I only learned it not too long ago.
Okay, well, I just closed it down, so maybe that'll make a difference.
It sounds good.
So
Thank you,
I didn't know
Rita.
that.
Thank you, Rita. We just want to be sure. I mean, I hope you don't see this as an affront. It's just about family trying to make sure that we're all, that we can understand each other and not miss out on your reading.
No, I totally understand. I want you to be able to hear me too. Did you want me to share one more and then let somebody else go?
Go for
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Kind of the same realm of what I just shared. So this one's a little different. It's it's called Departed Friend. The leaves shiver at the nip of the winter breeze. Their rustling sounds mimic where the babbling brook once lay. It is in their veins. Where once the day danced in sync with the water's motion, only imprints of its presence remain. The trees miss its departed friend, still making the melody they once shared. Dear departed friend, it whispers, come back home to me.
So that was the tree saying that, dear departed friends, come back to me?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that, Rita.
Thank you. I hope the sound was better.
I did share the link or a link to a site, a Penguin Random House site that where you can order the book Trees by Hermann Hesse, speaking of trees. And that's in the chat earlier. Thank you, Rita. Really nice contemplative work there.
Thank you for letting me share.
I'm going to read poem 345 of 365, written December 11th, 2007. Do you see, oh, I should sing this. Do you see what, no. Do you see, no. Do you see what I see? People in endless shopping spree. Do you see what I see? For cutting down trees, only time outside the city. Do you see what I see? Some workplace parties are scenes for enmity. Do you see what I see? Wives desire a Lexus and husbands HD TV. Do you see what I see? Advertising sets the bar for what is hard to really be. Do you see what I see? That we can be at war as we make merry glee. Do you see what I see? Orphans can get a free toy, but no one gives a family. Do you see what I see? We act so rich, but still so many are in poverty. Do you see what I see? The US tries so hard, smiles and sings in harmony.
Is that you? Did you write a poem every day for a year?
That was the intention at the beginning of 2007, which that was a year that was marked by us being in Afghanistan for already like 3 or 4 years. So we were in the midst of that, and the what was the torture thing? The waterboarding, and I mean, it was a big mess, and a lot of mess in that time. So I had a lot to write about, but it was a challenge because not every day gave me inspiration. So and those are mostly on my blog, which is xxcommunicator@blogspot.com. And Sylvia,
Can you type that in?
yeah, and Sylvia, when I choose to, in a couple of instances, I've submitted some of those poems to be published, and so I'll remove them from the blog, so they're not accessible on the blog. I'll hide them. I can hide them, unpublish them.
Good.
So I'll put down my blog. It's I don't go there too often. It's not very current, but you can scroll to the year 2007 and you'll see the poems I did complete. I didn't do one every single day. There were I also produced my first full-length play that year, so I had a lot on my plate. Hey, Richard, I also produced my first full-length play that year, so I skipped a few days when I was at the height of doing other things.
I ran away because I realized I have something I need to show. I have a show and tell. If that's okay.
Yes, I'm just typing. Yeah, there we go.
Type in your stuff. So again, I apologize for being so late. I just forgot. I really did forget everything. But I had a excuse me, I'm a little run down too, but I had a visit this week with a very close friend who I haven't seen for like 30 years. Now, you have to be of a certain age to be able to even say that, and so we were very close in the 80s, and I haven't seen Anne since the end of the 1980s, but we knew each other like for quite a while, and we met in Ann Arbor, and then I moved out to San Francisco, and she moved out to San Francisco, and we were both bike messengers there for a couple of years, which is one of the things I've been writing about, and I've been sharing that stuff with her. And I haven't seen her, and because she lives up at Tahoe, and I haven't been up at Tahoe, and she actually came down like through feet of snow just to come down to the Bay Area, and we spent an afternoon talking nonstop. Anyway, and I gave her some some books, poems and stuff like that. And she gave me this amazing thing. So Anne's, I don't know about my age, or I think, I'm 60. She might be a little younger. And in 1996, she was, and I forget what school, it might say on here, it doesn't matter, but she was at one of the schools out here in the Bay Area. In studying music, and specifically studying composition. She was a composer. Now she does IT for a ski area, but this is how we live. And and I didn't even know that, but I knew she'd been a composer, and I remember seeing some early things, and she went to a grad program for it. And her I guess her senior thesis or her thesis, graduate thesis, for that she wrote a short piece of music in every day for a year. That's what made me reminded me of this in 1996. And some of them were like traditionally in staffs, musical staffs and so forth, but many of them were just instructional things. And she gave me like her only extra copy that she still has, you know, and it had a beautiful, well, it's hard to see probably, but a collage sort of cover. It's made of thick cardboard. This was a thesis for grad school, and it has 4 things that are all bound by hand that say 365, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each one has 3 months of pieces of music, and so that like the very first one, for instance, is a score for doing different things with beer bottles, popping, like popping, blowing, dinging, and at the very end, there are 5 of them, and they all get smashed, and that's what that squiggly stuff is. It was all like experimental notation for music, but then you have like regular music notation, like that's a piece for viola called voila, which is spelled almost the same. Anyway, I think maybe I'll share 2 of these with you and then read a poem if I may. I don't know if that's okay. And I'm only through a couple of months. She gave this to me a few days ago, and I'm spending my time luxuriating in these. Piece to be performed when it's raining. Listen carefully to the rain, preferably on a porch or through an open window. Imagine a note in your head that seems to go with the sounds you hear. Begin humming that note. Attempt to hum in durations that are similar to the environmental sounds durations. Vary the duration of your humming by choosing different sounds to imitate. Begin imitating the pitch and timbre of the sounds you hear, as well as the duration. Take this in whatever direction sounds best to you. This piece should last as long as you feel like singing in the rain. I'm like, so let me find this other
That's
extra.
lovely. Let us have a moment to breathe some into that. Thank you. Oh my gosh. This is perfect. Rain, yes. I love sitting out on the porch during a nice non-threatening rainstorm.
Right. I'm going to read one that's not quite so nature focused and is actually just kind of funny. This one, which was written February 5th, 1996, for one person, it says. Daily piece number 4, Vibratorium. For 2 weeks, every time you use your vibrator, if you don't use one, don't do this piece. Find one object that makes a neat sound with the vibration of the vibrator. Make a note of it. At the end of the 2 weeks, put all these objects in one place. Invite your friends to come and check out your vibratory objects. Maybe they'll find some new objects. But yeah, so this is like a riches. It's great riches that she has given me, and I'm sort of in love with them.
Yeah, put that in your go bag. You definitely don't want to leave that behind if you have to flee your apartment someday.
Oh dear God, yeah. There's so many precious things when you don't move for a while, like bottle caps. What am I gonna do with them all? No, I don't even. Anyway, I could read this poem that I thought of, and it's a little bit long, and only if I'm not taking too much time, you guys, because I wasn't here.
Can you come back in about I mean, do that one in a few minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I want to hear more anyway. Mhm.
It's like you've just given us a feast and I want to have the dessert, leave some room for dessert later.
I know. I
Yeah.
love Ann Dentel. I'm going to go visit her up at Tahoe.
Oh, and what's the person's name, your friend's name? Anne?
And Dentel, Dentel, but she's not doing music for a while now. She's, she has a 17-year-old she's been trying to raise by herself for
Wow.
17 years.
Oh, yeah, they don't come at you, 3 or 4. Anne with an E or no E? ANNE?
I think it's no E. How funny, her first name is not written down here. She uses her initials.
DENTEL? Dentel?
I don't know if you'll find anything or not.
Okay.
What?
Well, we were talking earlier about different artists who have self-challenged to write or create something daily, from film, short theater. So Susan Laurie Parks did 365 days, 365 plays. I attempted to do a poem a day. Jonas Makis up in New York did a video a day, maybe 4 or 5 years before he died. And those videos are archived somewhere. And for you to join us to share that, Anne, there's a music person. I don't know. I think this bodes something for Recordando 2023. What do y'all think?
Maybe the next scene should be synchronicity.
I always feel synchronicity when I meet with you folks in this space. It's very magical, whether we have 3 people, and Jeffrey, I'm looking at you, when we've had 3 or 4 people, and it's amazing, and we're like, we don't run out of things to share and say for 2 hours. And then we've had 30 or 25 people. I appreciate everyone. And thank you, Cecilia, you've joined us via, let's see, you are on your iPad. Thank you for being here. I'm so sorry about your precious gatita who's left. Halo, rest in peace. Que en paz descansa.
Tammy,
Figured it
Yeah.
out. I muted myself finally.
Oh, hey. Nice
Thank
to
you,
hear your
Tammy.
voice. You're welcome.
Thank you, Tammy. Sorry for the interruption. Go ahead.
Tammy, I was gonna say, now that you got turned on to the specials, there's another English ska group called the English Beat, and they did a
I
real
know all these
political.
folks. I know all these
you
folks.
do?
The
Free
magic.
Nelson Mandela. Okay.
Yeah. I know all
Okay.
since the 80s, but the magic, and Cecilia, you'll appreciate this. The magic is that I went to Fiesta grocery store 5 blocks from my place earlier today. And when I first arrived, they started playing Message to You, Rudy by the Specials on the PA system, followed by I Can See Clearly Now. And I just took it as a sign, like, I mean, the next year, something's just shifted. And I mean, when you
I
hear
hope
a
so.
ska song at the grocery store in Texas, something's up that's not bad. And thank you, Jesse. Yes, I own CDs by the English Beat. I love them. Range, was it Roger Rankin Roger? Yeah, and all them. Yeah, I love them. Love that music. And I'm glad we have that in common. I'm glad we have that in common now. Now we know.
I just wanted to, because this is bringing out something you said like 2 minutes ago, but last month there were 3 or 4 of us. It was you and Jeffrey and I and
Lorraine,
and maybe someone else, but I can't remember, maybe not. But Jeffrey, I wanted to let you know that you kind of started something by mentioning the name Bio Akumalafe.
oh
Because
yeah.
I looked up his website, remember this? And it led me to an exploration of contemporary philosophy, which normally I usually just sort of get dry heaves when I start thinking about philosophy. But I've been reading about posthumanism, which sounds ominous, but there's like one strain of it that's not. that's like, and I just to mention, I mean, one of the kinds which I think is, to me, is boring, is also called transhumanism. I'm not going to give a lecture, but that's the kind of ideas that, you know, as human beings, we're going to evolve by becoming part machine, and oh, we're going to download our memories and live forever and all that sort of thing. And I'm like, you know, but another, this philosophy, and I don't follow this stuff really. It's just, you know, some stuff seeps in, called humanism, that came out of the Renaissance and the Enlightenment. And it's all the stuff about the individual. One of the results of that is sort of people feeling like, well, one of the other aspects of it is and this is very key, the idea of human beings being separate from and superior to all nature, you know, and that's one of the things that's always sort of mystified me and bummed me out, is how disconnected from nature our culture is. And that's sort of where it started and continues to roll along, and is easily reinforced by, you know, people who want to make a lot of money by making people feel separate and alone. And and there's this, and I write about that kind of stuff all the time. And now I learned there's this, the last 10, 15 years especially, there's been all this writing about saying, no, stop that. And it's called post-humanism, which is just to say it's all about sort of the interweaving of things, and you know, thankfully being taken more seriously by more minds. Let's just put it that way. So
And the Catholic Church,
what about them?
that they have that, they are up here and nature is down here, you know?
That's part
are
of where it came from, I think, originally with the, yeah, I know. You know, I mean, there are lots of good things about Christianity and all that sort of stuff too, but that separation stuff, I think it just fucks stuff up. Anyway, Jeffrey, I just wanted to mention, damn you for saying bio kuma lafe. And you know what? Everybody around the Bay Area is reading his shit now. Yeah, like he's getting a web surge from, like, I mean it, like I did a workshop on the piece that's on his homepage, like a writing workshop, getting people just bounce off of it, and turned out at least 2 other people have, with other groups. So all these people have been reading that.
So you spurred this to happen? Is that what you're saying, Richard? Or
Yeah,
is
I
it-
started spreading it around. I
Yay.
started reading it to poets that I know, and they were like, send me a link. And then all of a sudden they're like showing it to others and using it in writing workshops to spring off new ideas.
Well, I will post on Tammy's website a link to a discussion between Bio and V. V is used to be Eve Ensler of the vagina monologues, and I mean, it's just an amazing discussion that the 2 of them have. But I've also, Bio had this discussion with Sophie Strand. I don't know if Sophie Strand is somebody that you are familiar with, but she's another amazing poet. So I'll post stuff about that on Tammy's website if she'll allow it to be there. But
On the Dondo page?
yeah, on the Dondo page.
Oh yeah, I want to see
And,
that.
Oh
and
yeah,
Jeffrey,
for sure.
but Jeffrey, can you put a link there in the chat now?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Bio is an amazing philosopher.
Well, it's not clicking. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, it's there in the chat.
I see it in the chat, but it usually,
There
it didn't
is,
really,
yeah.
it
Oh,
really
it doesn't
didn't make a
travel.
link. Let me see what happens here.
Yeah, you can copy and paste it in another browser tab.
I'm going to try and make sure I type in the right
Right.
thing.
But one of the amazing things about Bio is his use of language. And for poets, I mean, he's African.
Oh, it's .net. I'm so sorry. He's Nigerian. So scratch that. I can't delete it, but this is the real one.
Oh,
Okay.
you mistyped or something. Okay, that's cool.
.net. It's .net. Bio .net. Okay. That one should actually work.
Yeah, it doesn't, but that's okay. We can,
Yeah.
if
That's
you
so
just
weird.
put-
That usually you can just click.
Well, if you put his full name, his first and last name, or however he goes, then we can Google it.
Yeah, you
Google
can
it
also-
up, like my mom
Yeah,
says.
yeah. If you Google
Google it up.
Bio Komalafa, you'll find him.
So yeah, I mean, these monthly sessions, and just for those that are just joining us for the first time tonight, just know that we started meeting in November of 2020. November 2020 is when the first Dando session happened, and now this 2022 changed to Recordando, and every month we have a new theme. And it's just a way to just spur some maybe inspiration in terms of what you might bring to the table to share. I'm not trying to challenge people or, intimidate folks like, oh, I don't have a poem on the theme, maybe I shouldn't join. Please join and share what you like. But it's just having a theme just kind of gives us something, I don't know, a different way to spin the mind. And as this conversation about this philosopher demonstrates, sometimes our commentary about what we've read leads us to kind of a really inspiring conversation and discussion about things we're mutually interested in and or might be interested in. So it's invigorating in more than one way to be in this space. And it's every third Saturday, 8 to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am committed to continuing this through the end of 2023. I might issue some challenges to some of you regular participants in terms of assisting with curating or bringing in new voices, new folks we haven't heard yet, to grow the group and the community that we are fostering here. And just a warm welcome again to first-time attendee Jessica Hernandez, visiting us from Houston. Jessica, how's it going? And did you find something in your journal you'd like to share at this time?
Is she still there?
Hi, Cecilia. Do you have anything you'd like to speak about? Or here's Jessica. Jessica unmuted. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jessica. Sorry.
Hey, I'm sorry. I've been dozing off. It's a little late for me, but I've been listening and enjoying listening to you and the conversation. I'll hold off for this time. And I can share maybe next month that I'll join.
You're always welcome back, whether or not you choose to share something out loud. And if it spurs you to write, that's, to me, that's the highest praise. Actually, if your takeaway is that you want to start writing because of things you've experienced here in this community, virtual community, then yeah, I would love that to happen for folks. Thank you.
Yes,
for
I
being
think
here,
that's
Jessica.
that is what's happening. I've been getting back into listening to poetry and listening to others, so I'm definitely writing a little bit more these past few days.
I am so happy you joined us tonight, and look
I
forward
think-
to seeing you and possibly hearing you
I
in
think
the coming year.
it's maybe worth saying too, if there's a theme, but you just have something else that's on your mind that you wrote or something, then you don't have to read something on the theme at all. A lot of times we'll start with the theme and we'll start with the theme of, water and end up reading a lot of stuff about outer space and
Mud.
You just never know.
Interplanetary conflicts.
Wet dirt. Like, I have a piece about mud, but you know, it required water in order to become mud.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I mean, I make weird segues, I mean, between things, so I can justify any connection. In my mind. Not that anybody else would agree with me. Thank you, Tammy, as always, for this space and allowing me to share. I'm going to tap out. Happy holidays all. Thank you, Rita, for being with us. And she's
Rita took off a minute ago. Yeah.
she's already out. But I might be seeing her tomorrow because we're having an in-person spoken word event tomorrow. That's going to be such a great party. I'm taking my bottle of Bombay Gin Sapphire, and it's going to be on.
Woohoo, woohoo.
I know why I
So-
spaced out. I was at like 4 readings this week,
Okay.
events, and and a couple others over the last couple of weeks, but they were all on Zoom, and I think I just forgot about Zoom for a minute.
Are people in the Bay Area masking up for in-person events, Richard?
Not. They're starting to mask up in stores again, but not so much. I was at a little Christmas or holiday gathering, last weekend, and nobody was masking. It wasn't super big, but it was indoors there was a big screen door open, and because it's not that cold here, and there was a lot of space to be in, but yeah, people are starting to mask a little more just because there's a, yeah. I am too,
Okay, good to know. Good to
My
know.
brother and my mom both had COVID this last month. My mom's 83 in New Jersey, and my brother's very ill as well, and they both made it through, so.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
I'd
So-
still like to share my poem though before we go, if that's okay.
yeah, I was gonna ask Cecilia if she had anything to share. She also just joined us recently.
Oh, that's right.
Tonight.
Like Melissa, I am getting back to listening to poetry, and also kind of processing busy time that it is. So like her, I'm also exhausted, and it's definitely my bedtime. But I enjoyed listening to the information that was just given, and I thought of a poem that I read, and it reminded me of you, but it's not written by me, but I definitely said, I wonder if Tammy knows this poem, because it's called For Old Rebels is the name of the poem. And I thought, oh gosh, I wonder. So I wasn't sure what your format is, if you wanted to have something original or something to share, because I'm not sure if I'm ready to share my original stuff yet. Whatever original.
If you have that poem in front of you, yeah, go for it. Now, I mean, I'm curious now. Might as well read it.
Yeah, and I have the person's name who wrote it too, so I make sure to copy it down. I think that this time of the year is very, how can we say, it seems like it's really, really busy with, everybody getting ready for the holiday and everything else. But I came in as you were reading, I guess, a personal poem of yours about the status of the culture here. And as you know, my my mind is split between Peru and the United States right now, because my country is going through such upheaval. It's just intense, and I have people that are older than myself who are really in a state of how can we say, in a state of feeling like there's going to be another Sendero Luminoso, which is the last terrorist group. And so it's very hard to get through conversations for me because it feels like there's layers on layers on layers on layers and stuff. So I apologize, I'm a little scattered, but and on top of that, my cat died, and it's like, oh my gosh. So I found the poem, and it reminded me of you. And I'm gonna close the door because I think the Alexa is talking to itself.
Alexa, shut up.
Stop. So the name of the poem is called For All Us Old Rebels by Caitlin Johnston. So show me an old rebel. Do not show me a young rebel whose eyes are bright and whose tail is bushy. Young rebels are fine and good, but they are merely doing what the young are meant to do. Show me an old rebel, one who keeps punching, one whose hands are arthritic, when her hair is white, when her friends are all dead, when her knees are shot, when it hurts him to pee, when her shoulders are so bad that it would be much easier to punch down than to punch up. Show me an old rebel who keeps standing up after being knocked down over and over again, year after year, decade after decade, who after the thousandth blow merely spits out a tooth and says, "Son, you have no idea what you're dealing with, do you? Are you a young rebel? Are you sticking it to the man? Are you upsetting the gray brainiacs, knocking over their word castles? That's fine. Youth will be youth. But show me a young rebel who became an old rebel, who stuck with it and thought the setbacks and the beatings and trails, who watched the hippies become yuppies and the protesters become pundits, and still kept it fine, lit amid, and still kept it a fire lit amid the monsoons of infiltration and the hurricanes of heartbreak. Who will close their tired eyes for a final time without ever once having cast them to the ground or peered into an imploring subordination? That, my friends, that is a true spirit. If you are still a fiery rebel, even as everything is ripped away from you, I will be humbled and be awed by you, because I will know that you will have carry that with you to the grave. And I will know that whatever you find on the other side will be met. And that's the defiant glare, that defiant glare. And I will sing your song when you are gone.
Mm. Oh, wow. Never heard that one before. Love it.
Totally reminded me of you. It really did. And you were saying something as I was coming in that you were talking. I think you were talking about the
Tatiana Jefferson and the Arundine conviction. He was convicted of
yeah,
manslaughter on Thursday. Yeah.
yeah. And that was whenever that kind of stuff comes up, I don't know what you guys feel, but it's kind of like you feel sad as well as really angry that there's still another case fucking pending. Like there's one that just came up. So I'm like, what the fuck? So, it's never ending. So there you go. That's my piece.
Well, I want to mention, yes, that I saw the movie Till in November, and
You're brave.
I braced myself. I don't need any epaulets on my thing, like I watched Till, I was strong enough. I mean, it's a movie. I was a paying patron to see a movie. I did not experience that directly. I was not down in Mississippi. I wasn't in Alabama. I wasn't anywhere near that area in the times of Emmett Till's murder and the aftermath of that. The film is amazing. beautiful performance by the actress who played the mom. It's just, she's incredible. And I remember leaving, and one thing I could say is, at least, you know, that happened long ago.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that was then, and hopefully we've changed. Well, the very next day on NPR, there was a story about a 15-year-old boy in Australia
There you go.
who was had just gotten off the school bus, still in his school uniform, and he was Aboriginal, you know, indigenous to his country, and some white guys in a car stopped and started beating him, and you know, he passed away. He's gone. 15-year-old.
Wow.
So, you know,
Yeah.
curbside lynching. But yeah, so it's, I mean, it's very all of these things are contemporaneous, and we may feel a little bit of relief, or say there's distance now because that was then, that moment was long ago, we've learned from that. But yeah, just take your tabletop desktop globe and spin it around and stop it and point a finger, and there's probably something dastardly dreadful and disastrous happening in that place under your fingertip as we speak. Prayers to all and love to all is and hope for all is what I have to say, because this
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. If you got to exude that exaltation of humanity, that there's still poets like you and your friends and people out there who are still willing to create amidst the chaos and the suffering, and you know, and I keep thinking of people in Iran, and you know, in other parts of the world that are now suffering um, food scarcity again in the Sudan. And so it brings on to a point that there's so much to capture in the written form, but like you said, I really enjoyed hearing that people captured their life or their experiences in a year, whether through poems or photographs and videos. Wow, that's just during the pandemic, right? Those are years of the pandemic.
For some folks, some, like my project was in 2007, so it was during a war. It wasn't during a
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for sharing your friend who speaks a lot about the Bay Area. Are you in the Bay Area? I'm sorry, my name is Ceci.
Richard, yes, is in. Well, go ahead, Richard. And then Richard is going to read a poem also, so we'll segue to you when you unmute yourself.
I didn't understand the question. There was you had a question, Cecilia?
Yeah, I do you live in the Bay Area currently right
Yeah,
now?
I live in Oakland.
Oh, wow.
I have
That's
for
right.
about 13 years.
Great. My brothers live there. I was just there this summer, and yeah, I grew up in San Francisco in the city, and then everybody moved to the East Bay. So cool.
Yeah, we all ran. I lived all over. In fact, you're in Austin right now?
Yeah, I live in Austin now, and it's sadly to say, in many ways, it's a mini San Francisco.
Yeah, I lived there in 1995 to 98. That's how I know Tammy Melody Gomez.
Okay, so I just missed meeting you because I met Tammy. I knew Tammy during those years. I enjoyed what you had to share in regards to also you dropped a link, so I can follow that link and get more of what you were talking about that people are reading in the Bay Area. My nephew is involved in doing stuff this coming spring, so he always is looking for extra stuff to include. He works with the San Francisco Mime Troupe.
Oh,
Yeah, he does those shows for free. Here you go. The Bayo Makalafe.
Bayoko Malafi. Just Google his name and you'll find his website. I put the wrong one up there at first. It's not a .com, it's a .net.
It's a .net. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. I see it.
Which
Thank
is
you.
funny because if you read him, it makes more sense that he'd be a .net.
That's great. Yeah.
Y'all were both in Austin at the same time. It's like y'all were both probably at the Electric Lounge at the same time, but like Richard went to the restroom when Cecilia, you popped in, and then
It must have been.
I mean,
Yeah.
y'all were both. I mean, I knew both of y'all in the '90s at the same time in Austin. So,
That's
and I
wild.
know you like Peach shows, and sometimes you come see my band when I had the band, and
Mhm.
yeah, it just happened.
I might have waited on you at Kirby Lane.
Oh, I love that. You were to Kirby Lane when it
That's
used
what
to be really good. There's only one that's really good now.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't been there in some years.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well,
Richard,
thank
you have a original poem to close us out with, please?
Your
If I may,
dessert-
if everybody's
the
up for
dessert.
one more poem, this is Rita's stuff reminded me a little bit of this because it's super introspective. In fact, it's almost a little spacey, I would say. It's a meditation poem, and so it kind of takes you here and there, okay, rather than a experiential poem. But I love this one, and I wasn't thinking of it the other day when you said I don't know I haven't had a theme yet, and I just immediately said quietude. I wasn't thinking of this poem at all. I was just thinking of how valuable quiet moments are to me right now, because my life has been super chaotic and difficult for a while, and so and I go back to this poem again and again. It's never been published. It's part of a little chapbook collection that I haven't found a publisher for to date, but it's called Quietude, and I haven't read it out loud in a while, so hopefully I can. It's almost like a prayer, I would say. In fact, it kind of is a prayer. Quietude. Oh, supple, oh, resilient farmer of the day, you vast my thoughts into a new form, sanctum, troubadour in the opulence of air. Each sure breath luxuriates, liberates a seed of seeing, instills your imminent strands, alert and potent through these animal cells. My glass of water waits. Oh, clear. Oh, distant traffic pours. My houseplants soak the room. Stillness stretches out, and a lone sparrow punctuates the morning in song. Would this hour might ramify all time with its pith and speculation. Even just a ping in the hectic pond would do. Breath and light combine to loom a fine field for a frank remaking. Manifest horizon beckoning one to surge. I lift my hand and molecules move. Lungs pull the atmosphere. Nerves flood and wake, align, articulate far beyond skin. Only the spread of a rooted hour reckons this absolute gin of every day, brimming radiance and casting the ebullient charge that stills the hour to acuity, distills itself to a cat of light, lustral wind, a crystalline calm where all murk lifts, where even the beating of the heart can be too much. Oh, ravel, oh, intrinsic, how we savor your reprieve from the fact ratchet cataract, from the shrapnel mind, how we chant the lone pavilion of your adamant, waiting in the weeds. You dwell with vistas unharried by air. You repinion the plain song of our utter hearts. You unlock and fortify. Between beats, we welcome and repair. Would that we might dwell wholly amidst, that we might become saturate, might become air, that we could see the impossible, pure, ever, and horizonless. Though you evaporate and the mist return, though we must resolutely cantilever on, let us dwell amidst as might. Let us not leave you. Let us ping the pond. Let us gather arm-wise, throat-wise, chest-wise, what particles we can. Let us fill veins and lungs with all your rarefied. Let us hold the radiance upon the hour. Let us carry the acuity of the still heart. Let us bear the agency of the waking face. Let us bear the grace. I think I might drift off now. I hope that was okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
just a prayer. Sometimes we need to write a prayer, I think.
I think
Tammy.
you were on the right track, Richard, with the quietude.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you for suggesting that.
Well, Tammy Gomez, you're a prayer, and I'm glad to share it with you. I'm glad to share you with it.
Did somebody just say woohoo, or was that a crying sob?
I think I giggled.
Ah, okay. Um,
I'm really sorry I missed the first half. I missed you guys. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you two. It's nice to see Jeffrey. It's nice to hear everyone.
yeah, I mean, you can, someday I'll put this on YouTube. I'm really behind on uploading to that YouTube channel, but yeah, there will be a record of this, except for Sylvia's readings, because she requested that her readings not be recorded, which is totally fine.
I'm sorry I missed that, Sylvia. I haven't seen you guys in a while.
Oh, you'll hear us another time.
I know.
And the reason I don't want to do the recordings is because many publications will not take work that's been, out there, whether it's on your own blog or on a YouTube page or something like that. So I don't want to jeopardize, putting my stuff online. I'm happy to read it, and then once it's been published, then I can read it and you can record to your heart's content. Thank you.
I get you.
Understood. Sylvia and Jesse, I'm really hoping to be in Albuquerque in March. There's going to be a conference titled Latinx Futurisms, and UNM is
Ah,
hosting it. And
uh-huh.
I'm really, 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 really wanting to be there. I know Cecilia and Cecilia's also interested. So let's see if it happens, and I'll let you know if we're going to be coming into town. And
Yeah,
it's a free conference. It's a free conference.
so send me some information about it.
Okay.
We'll be out of town for the last weekend because we'll be at a conference in Silver City. But other than that, we should be here in March, otherwise. And
Okay.
be good to get together, yeah.
Richard, that was a lovely poem, and I'm glad you saved it. And I'm glad you joined us so you could share it. Oh my gosh. And yes,
I'm glad you woke. Yeah, I wasn't asleep, but I was in outer space land.
for my 60th birthday, which happened in September, my brother gave me a bottle of Absolute Sapphire gin. Because he said he thinks it's what used to be my favorite. Buying liquor is not a thing I do very often, but he made an attempt to share something special with me. I'm opening it up tomorrow at the in-person reading, a holiday poetry party. And yeah, Lorraine, I kind of do have gin on the brain, not because I'm eager to drink it, but because I'm eager to share it. So I've bought, enough tonic water so I can make a bunch of them, sapphire gin and tonics for friends in attendance. And then there was a line from Quietude, absolute gin of every day, and that was just so on.
I realized when I said it out loud that it was it was unlikely people would realize I meant the word. I don't. It's pronounced the same, gin.
Oh, what is
DJINN.
gin? What is DGJINN? Sorry, educate me.
It's the word that became genie. Gin is a magical spirit.
Well, I love that even better. And pulling open the bottle of gin is like releasing a genie, a gin.
I just got a copy of that gin movie from this year, 3,000 Years of Longing, which I cannot recommend enough.
I know you loved it so much.
I just got a Blu-ray copy so I can watch it hundreds of times. But I want to mention what a outrageous and joyous movie in many ways it was, very touching. If anyone, it's not like happy every moment movie, because what is, but 3,000 Years of Longing, also my favorite title for a long time. Anyway,
yay to smart people with smart ideas and words and ways of sharing. I love that. I love us, and this is great. I'm happy to close out a year of Recordando readings with you. Every third Saturday we've been gathering, not you in particular, but you in spirit, and this community of people who like to read and share and talk about what they read and share. And we'll continue to do that in 2023. And I absolutely would love to hear of any recommendations of writers who you think we could invite to join us and maybe even do a featurette. I don't have a budget, so I cannot guarantee, provide or offer compensation at this time. Maybe.
bye, Lorraine. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Lorraine. Love you. Be safe. Enjoy everything in the moment. I'm an hour ahead of you all. Oh yeah, good to remind us of that. Yeah, thank you. Want to be aware of
May 2023 be full of pleasant adventures and dreams come true for everyone.
Yes. Thank you.
Good night, Jessica. Thank you for being a first timer with us, and then you'll be an old timer next month when you come back. Yeah, good people all around. But yeah, if we, let's bring on other people who you feel would enjoy this community we've built. And
I'll mention around here. I used to mention it sometimes and not for a while because everyone gets into their things, and I always come. That woman Debbie came once or twice, and she's super nice. And I went and hung out with her at her house. So I'll see if she wants to come back. But I'll see if a couple people might want to do. I would like to invite someone to, or to do like a quasi a mini feature who might come again and again, rather than just be someone who wants to show up and present their work. I'll think of people who might like the community, enjoy the community. Anyway, I'm just
This
glad to
is-
see you
this-
guys.
Yeah, I'm so glad you saw the text and came to be with us, Richard.
Yeah, it's been a super rough month, and so this is every little bit of joy helps.
Do you mean this month, December or November or
The
both?
last couple of months with my
Mm.
family have been really, really, really tough. Today's my brother's 60th birthday, but
Oh,
we were pretty sure he'd be dead, and he's not. So he almost died a few times this fall. And so
I'm sorry.
that's okay. Well, it's intense. Sometime I'll tell you some of the details, but it's a crazy, dark story. So, and yet we persevere. Damn, I like that word.
I can't always spell it, but I like that word too. And
Pers-
persist and permeate and perpetrate. All
There's
of
a
the
good
words.
theme for some time.
Hey, and you know what? My in case you wanted to know, my Aldi's beer is actually pretty good.
I
Yeah,
think, sorry, I was gonna say, I think we're going to leave. We had come from a poetry reading that
Oh.
the Albuquerque Poet Laureate, her task, what she took on was to
Lauren, my
uh,
friend Lauren.
oh no, she's the Poet Laureate for New Mexico.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're
But
right.
this was Mary Oishi, who was the Poet Laureate during all of the COVID time. And what the project she wanted to do and did was to have poets read poems in each of the libraries, public libraries, and they would be recorded, they would be videoed. And so they put a book together, 100 poets. And we were in the book, and so they had the launch today at the newest library in Albuquerque, the International Library, which is a beautiful space. So we were there, and then I got home and looked at my email, and there was Tammy's note about joining tonight. So we sort of went from that. We'd had a quick dinner before we got home, and here we are, and I think that we need to move on. But really, thank you very much for building this space and inviting us. And I am hopeful that the new year will bring serenity for sure, and new opportunities for all, whatever those opportunities that you might want will be. I think those are the two things that I think I'm looking forward to, and that we can in some way control.
Lovely.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I couldn't be, yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, you know,
I just wanted
you
to say, along the same lines, I think I look forward to the continuing and greater community. To me, that's what lifts everything.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
is true.
I want to dance to ska music in grocery stores. I want to fall off my bike and land on pink marshmallows the size of my head. I want to see the river wave at me with a Michael Jackson glove. You know, I think there's space and time and capability for the unseemly, the unreal to be made real, and that can happen like literally with you know ska music on the sound system at a grocery store, but also through our writing. We create worlds that alleviate and comfort and heal us, and I really lean on you guys and other guys and other people and other gals to do that, because it's medicine. It's really important medicine.
You said the word.
Well, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Big
Ciao.
hugs. Yeah.
Travel safely.
Oh, yeah, travel safely. We're here.
Well, I
You
mean,
know-
when you're off to dreams, travel
Ah, yes,
safely.
yes, that's true. And we'll see you in the new year, 2023.
Yes. Yeah. Happy New Year. Adios.
Yeah.
Take care.
And I will see you tomorrow.
Jeffrey, it's gonna be so awesome. I'm excited.
Oh, you're gonna have some
Excited.
Jim Jen.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
taking, I mean, I don't need this bottle in my cabinet. I want to share it. And I've already, I got the tonic water. I got it all together. And my mom's neighbor, Mari, who is Mexicana, and she my mom's neighbors all cook for my mom because my mom's almost 80. And so my mom gets delectable tortillas and empanadas. And so we had some of Mari's pozole 2 weeks ago. And so I asked, can Mari make us some pozole? So we're having pozole at our poetry event tomorrow. Turkey pozole, like they're baking a whole roasting a turkey and then deboning it for this pozole.
I don't know what pozole is.
You don't know what fasole is.
Maybe I do, and I'm just not recognizing the word. What?
You have to taste it to know it.
I don't know who, I can't describe it very well. Who wants to describe it? I mean, I'm pocha. I don't know Mexican culture very well, but
I'll look it up. Yeah.
it's got hominy in it. It can be a green tomato sauce based or red tomato sauce based.
I know what it is.
And sometimes it's some people are now making it vegan, but it's usually with pork. Tomorrow we're gonna have it with turkey.
That sounds
And
so
you
good.
dress it with shredded cabbage and sometimes thinly sliced radishes and some chili pepper flakes. I'm bringing, like, I have a whole box over here of like chips and crackers and holiday cookies. And we're collecting one of our poets, local poets, Guadalupe. She's a beautiful bilingual education person. She mentioned in her poem last month, in person last month, that a lot of her kindergarten students are unhoused. And so I asked, how
Yeah.
can we help? Because she's just been like heartbroken about this. And I said, what can we collect? She said hoodies. So we're having a hoodie donation drive for people to bring in hoodies. I went and bought one at a dollar store before joining y'all here. So at least I'm contributing one. And we'll continue collecting donations of those for the next few months. She says she has 15 unhoused kindergarten students.
Jeez, that's
15.
stunning. Yeah.
And then I've invited poets who vend, because some of our poets are crafty people. So we're gonna have people tabling, selling like one poet sews, and she's created these little monsters, fabric monster, like stuffed animal monsters. And you'll see it on, if I invite you, you'll see the whole thing. Somebody's bringing handmade soaps and tea blends, organic tea blends. There's somebody who makes journals, blank journals, and someone else makes t-shirts. I want the one that says, "This is my writing shirt," t-shirt. And then even some poets who are record producers, they're bringing vinyl and cassette releases that they've put together this year to sell of local musicians. So it's like a smorgasbord, like a lot of talent. And then we'll do poetry, and then maybe
That
some
sounds so
music.
fun. Yeah.
And there'll be beer and wine, and we will stay there for hours.
That sounds nice. It makes me I don't really want to come to Texas, but I want to come to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's it's it's like going to Austin, the Oasis, or it used to be the Oasis, cultural Oasis,
Yeah.
and it isn't anymore, but I don't think.
Yeah,
You come to
you
my
need to
land.
You need to separate coming to see friends from coming to Texas because
Oh, I know. Yeah, I used
I've
to.
had in the last month I've had 4 couples that I was really close with all leave Texas. And
4.
four couples
I mean, that's a lot of people, like 8 people, but I mean, like all at once.
all it was like a couple of days apart, but it was,
That's shocking. Even that. Are they all going away to form a commune together somewhere else?
now they're going to separate places. Two going, one couple to Colorado and one couple to the Washington DC area, but it's all it's all mixed up with being really, really upset with the way Texas is going.
I could understand that.
I mean, it's heartbreaking, to me, because I have to keep asking myself, what's keeping me here in Texas? It's Texas is in retrograde. And it's only, thank you, Tammy, for being here, because you're one of the reasons why I stay.
It's a challenged place. There's shit happening everywhere. Like the first place you said was Colorado. I thought Colorado, because Colorado's all fucked up, but there are places, and what there really are is people's hearts, and
Yeah, I have to find. I mean, in every place. I mean, let's say the way I want to say it is, my friends who live in places where I do not currently live are the heart of the places where they live. I don't go to tour a town. I go to tour my friends, and see my friends
me
and how they
too.
live.
Yeah.
And whatever they want to show me is really lately all I care to see of the place where I'm at,
Mhm.
Richard showed me a really interesting diner owned by Cambodian folks, possibly in Burlingame. I'd never been there.
That was like purely accident, but I really enjoyed the place.
Yeah, that was so sweet. Yeah, it's pretty treacherous here, but I feel like I can't leave because my family's here. My mom
Oh,
is
yeah.
gonna see her last days alive here, and my brother too, and he might not outlive my mom, and so I want to be here for those final hours and days and months together.
Mhm.
And then I might launch after that out of here. But in the meantime, I have to survive with some sort of joy, and that's why I produce, Jeffrey. That's why
Yeah.
help
You're-
create the spaces, or at least try to liberate a venue so it can be open to the kind of community we want to bring.
Exactly. And I'm glad you are here. And, and part of the calculation in my mind is, where can I go where I can find as many people as I have already here?
That's tricky. I had a plan a few years ago and it got disrupted by COVID. I was tired of urban. Still tired of urban, and I was tired of Oakland, which has not gotten, it's certainly gotten more violent here, and I don't know, difficult and expensive. But and at that time I had quite a few friends scattered around the Hudson Valley. I think I may have mentioned this before, I'm not sure, but north of New York, and and I didn't grab the moment, or rather I was about to, and everything shut down, and then everything changed, and the Hudson Valley became triple triple the expense to live in because all the Manhattanites moved up there, and so, and several of my friends moved away. I don't know where I would move to. Shack in the mountains would be okay.
Yeah.
But
I'm finding a lot of appeal in Tulsa, Oklahoma,
I was
because
only
of
there
the-
that once with Peach.
because of the indigenous
there then?
community. Did I go to Tulsa with Peach? No.
Yeah, there was some performance festival. We went to 2 performance festivals, and one was in Tulsa. I forget. That's all. It's the only time I was ever there.
Tulsa Living Arts is probably the place because they host a lot of performance art. They're kind of edgy, a little bit of edgy there.
Yeah, it was like 25 years ago, so I don't remember.
Mhm.
I could look it
Oh,
up.
yeah.
I'll probably come across the information soon because I'm still going through my old stuff.
But yeah, I find the Midwest somewhat appealing, and as long as there's, and tell that to friends who can't believe I'm living here, is I'm not. There are 2 airports nearby, so I can get out if I need to. Not that I can afford to, but I can take the train to Dallas. Going to Oklahoma is regionally it's culturally rich in a way that's different from Texas because of the indigenous, the Native American communities, and I know people in those communities. So that's the Oklahoma I see when I'm up in Tulsa and Oklahoma cities. I see that part of the country through the lens of Richard Ray Whitman, who's he plays one of the recurring characters in Reservation Dogs. He's an elder Indian, and he's, kind of a spiritual father of mine. So, when I'm there, I'm with him or his partner, Vicky. And so I'm cocooned in their world while I'm navigating Oklahoma, but it's not Oklahoma. It's like this amazing diaspora, and that's why I can live pretty well, I think. I'm adaptable because of
Tulsa is a smaller city too, and I would consider a smaller city. I still would consider north of Albany, but I might consider Denver's not too small, but I liked living when I lived in Colorado. I wouldn't move back to Boulder because it's kind of icky, but
do you know Bill Daniel, the filmmaker, brother to Lee Daniel?
His name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he just moved up there. What's the Kingston? Everybody's moving to Kingston, New York, apparently. So maybe, it's going to be a has-been town soon because everybody's moving there.
Kingston is one of the places got triple the rent. I had a very close friend in Kingston who actually moved out of there during the pandemic, or toward the end of it. But I spent a lot of time in Kingston, and it's a cute little town. It wouldn't have been the one that I moved to, but I didn't mind popping in and out.
Have I mentioned to you guys Sophie Strand?
Somebody mentioned it today. Was it you, Richard?
No.
No.
You did. You mentioned it, or mentioned that person as a poet earlier, Jeffrey.
You must.
Yeah, I don't think I mentioned her today, but
someone did.
You did.
She lives.
We have a recording.
We're still recording. Actually.
We're still recording.
Go ahead. Oh, I need to stop recording. Sorry.
That's all right.
Forever.
But Sophie Strand.
Goodbye. Thank you for watching. Sorry.